and a very good Monday morning to you. I find you very well on what is an alright day here in Manchester. So we can't ask for much more, I guess. As the title says about this video, I just want to talk about kind of where I am right now with my multiple sclerosis. And I know this is not going to be a great interest to a lot of people who might be here for the political stuff, and I know there's not a lot of them at the moment, but it might be interesting because MS can arrive at no time at all where you're thinking, I'm perfectly okay, there's a few things going wrong now, I'm getting older, but hey, that's getting older. It might not be that. I've mentioned this in other videos, but it might not be that. So let's start kind of from the beginning. For a long while I was feeling unwell. I've been unwell for a long time. My health generally is not good. It's never been good. A quick rundown: I was born with asthma and eczema, and ran that all the way through my life. I had pleurisy for quite a while, which nearly finished me off. Back in 2013 I was diagnosed with COPD, which is a bronchial disorder which you normally get if you've either smoked all your life or you work in dangerous chemical or fume-based industries, mining, that kind of thing. I've done neither of those two things. In 2014 I was diagnosed with ischemic heart disease, again usually attributed to poor living standards, as it were. You've abused your body, etc. Never done any of that. Ended up having had minor heart surgery to have a stent placed. Then I got spinal disease, where lower back disorders were quickly followed by upper back disorders, and I now have problems with issues in my lumbar region down by your backside, and upper back problems right at the top of my neck. And then in 2019, because I've been feeling ill for a long time, I couldn't really put my finger on what was going on, I hit our friend Google. And I was going through a lot of websites, both this side of the pond and the other side of the pond, and in effect diagnosed myself as seeming to have either the early stages or the very kind of middle-ish stages of what could be multiple sclerosis. Now at that point, needless to say, I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't be that, and it would turn out to be something else that perhaps could be fixed with surgical intervention or physiotherapy or yoga or something. On the 19th of on the 23rd of December 2019, I was, after multiple months of tests, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So what does that mean? If the problem is with multiple sclerosis is it is an incurable disease. They do believe that it will be cured sometime. The hopes are quite high that it won't be kind of too long, within a kind of a decade maybe or so. It isn't a disease that is life shortening. It doesn't kill you, but what it does do, it gets worse and worse and worse throughout your lifespan. So what do I mean by kind of multiple sclerosis? Let's put it in terms that we all kind of understand. MS is a disease that is known as a autoimmune disease, which basically means is that your body, which is usually this magnificent machine that basically runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and is in the old money 70 years, so up to your 70th. I mean, I know it's longer than that these days, but you know, you get the feeling. And if you're very lucky, not a lot goes wrong. You have the normal coughs and sniffles, and maybe you get measles when you're a kid, or chicken pox, or German measles, or stuff like that. But most of your life, you trot along quite happily, and little bits of intervention now and again from your GP. Everything's fine, dandy, and tickety-boo. Then something like MS comes along, where your body decides, actually, I'm not too happy about how my body is running, so I'm actually going to fight against myself to cause problems for this person. Now, the other side of MS, of course, is that from my experience of it and all the investigations I've done about it, it's different for everyone. There is kind of not one set pattern that MS goes for 4 different people. We all suffer in different ways, and I use the word suffer in the 2 forms. One, I'm saying because we all have this disease and we all deal with it as time goes along, and also in the actual real meaning of that word is because it does make us, as the people with MS, suffer. Now, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but I can only assume that when I speak for myself, other people who have MS will hear the echoes about what's going on in their body. So what's happening to me? Well, we're now 4.5 years in from my diagnosis. I don't know how long we are in from when I first got the initial signs of MS, so I can't feature that into my calculations regarding the period of how long I've had MS. But we'll give you some idea of what goes on a daily basis for me. The most impactful thing that I suffer with every single day is pain. I suffer from chronic pain, and the chronic pain decides when it's going to arrive. It decides how long it's going to stay, and it decides how bad the pain is going to be. Now, let me fill you in on what kind of I do to try to deal with the pain that I have. I'm a great believer that quite a lot of what we experience in this life regarding our moods, about enjoyment of life, about our reaction to things and that kind of thing, is in here. All of this is a flesh and blood vehicle for what goes on in here between your ears. That 3.5 pound piece of kit, which is possibly the most complex piece of equipment in the universe. And I believe that quite a lot of my pain can be managed by my own mental strength and ability to actually deal with it. And what I do when pain arrives, I try to divert myself in many ways, whether it be kind of go out for a walk or something like that if I feel well enough, watch your favourite movie, listen to music. I was going to say, I'll throw in there, read a book. I don't do a lot of reading apart from on the internet when I'm trying to find out information about my MS, but I don't do a lot of reading of books, as it were, whether they be technical information or novels. I don't really do that. So I try to divert myself away from my pain. Does that work? Yes, sometimes it does. Sometimes it's a very, very strong mental exercise to put yourself in a place where you believe that you can deal with the issues that your health is throwing at you. So does it work all the time? Of course not. Of course it doesn't work all the time. So what do I take to help my pain? Well, we're all aware that we all have pain from time to time. You can sprain an ankle, you can get a bruise which is really painful. If you go doing martial arts training like I used to do, in training or sparring, you can hurt yourself, and generally a little bit of either topical pain relief or paracetamol and ibuprofen or something like that would be ideal, just to take the edge off. Just to take the edge off, so that you know within 7 days you'll be back to full power and away you go. Well, on a day-to-day basis, of course, standard over-the-counter medications are all part of my life. Paracetamol and ibuprofen are always there in my kit as a standard thing I take on a number of times per day. But I also have to take things like morphine. Now morphine is there as a standby, if you like. I take it maybe once, possibly twice a day, when the pain gets to the levels where normal everyday painkillers don't really do a lot. Does it help? Yes, it can. Does it help massively? No, it doesn't. Do I have the opinion that taking it helps me as an overall thing, that if I didn't have it, would I be worse? That is the attitude I take. Even though I don't feel a massive relief from it, I'm fairly sure that because I have it, because I take it, it does have a beneficial effect. Also, what I take, of course, now, which a lot of people with MS and chronic pain take, is OxyContin. Now, there's a lot of problems with OxyContin around the world. They are very, very addictive. If you are of that kind of personality, you can get hooked on OxyContin, and you will want to chase the rush of having the pain-killing effect. I find when I take OxyContin, not only do I deal with my own pain in here, I'm very strict about only taking the prescribed amount of OxyContin that my doctor tells me to take. And if that amount doesn't deal with the pain, I don't up the dose. I don't increase the frequency. I just deal with that as much as I can, because I'm very aware that any form of pain medication can cause problems to other organs in your body, and I've got enough problems in my body as it stands right now. So yes, I take a number of quite powerful painkillers which do not put me in a position where I feel perfectly well any day of any week. I feel quite ill most of the time, but the very important thing to do is to have a positive mental attitude regarding your well-being, and you have to roll with the issues that life throws your way. So for those of you who don't really know the effects of MS, well, as I said earlier, MS seems to be different for everyone, so I'll talk about myself and in very, very general terms. I've already touched on my pain. My pain is the overriding thing which I seem to have very little, if any, control over. Now, once I've said that, of course, the other bits and pieces that I have to deal with, I still have no control over these things. My hands, for instance, are constantly numb. It feels like I have maybe, how can I explain, 2 pairs of rubber washing up gloves on at the same time. I have no sensitivity in my hands. Now, although I'm saying they're numb, I also get tingling at the same time, which seems to be kind of a bit of a paradox. How do I have numbness and tingling, which is a feeling? How does those two things come together? The answer, I have no idea, and I guess that most doctors have no idea either. I also have, we call it cog fog or brain fog, cognitive fogging in YED. Now, I've always kind of viewed myself as somebody who is hungry for knowledge, and I've always been blessed with a very, very, very good memory. What I'm finding now, the further we go down the hole that is MS, I get into conversations, let's say, and I will come across something I want to say, and I'm all ready and powered up, ready to go to say something to somebody, and between here and here, it gets lost. It will just get lost. I know exactly what I want to say, I know what structure of sentence I want to come out of here, but between here and here, it disappears. And I have no idea why. And the other thing is that you will know that as a normal functioning well person, generally, because we all forget a word now and again, we all have an inbuilt ability to find another word to use instead of the word that we've lost. I find with my MS, I've lost that ability, so I will forget a word that is the word that I wanted to use, which is descriptive enough to get my point over. I've lost the ability to replace that word with another word that I know will do the same job as the word I've lost. How does that work? It's mysterious. I have no idea how that works. So that's kind of another thing, and I'm sure this must be the same for many, many MS sufferers out there. The thing that annoys me right now as well regarding my cog fog or brain fog is my ability to recall things. Throughout my life, I've always enjoyed either being part of a team that does quizzes or a person that sets quizzes, for instance. And I've always been very good at them because I've always had a good memory and an ability to recall information really, really quickly. Now, my last major scan, it was found that I have 2 lesions in my brain. One here and one over here. And I am now finding it more and more difficult on a daily basis that if I need to access a piece of information quickly, I struggle. It was always my ability when people used to ask, well, how do you know these things, or how do you access information so quickly? The best way for me to explain it to them was, well, I view my brain as a room, and not quite a memory palace. Sherlock talks about his memory palace, but my room is just an empty room, and in the empty room are rows and rows and rows of the grey metal filing cabinets, the kind, we've all seen them, and all the knowledge I have is filed in alphabetical order in the drawers, and each drawer has a label that has all the things in that drawer, all the subjects in that particular drawer. And it doesn't matter whether it's something about an armadillo or something about a Zulu. Somewhere in the room, in the cabinets, is the information. And because I have all these cabinets in alphabetical order, when a question is asked and I need to go and get the answer, I know exactly what row to go to, I know exactly what cabinet to go to, and I know exactly what drawer to go to get the information. My MS has taken that ability away from me now. I can still go to the room, and I still know that all my cabinets are in alphabetical order, but I don't necessarily know where the cabinet is anymore. And once I get to the cabinet, I don't particularly know which drawer it's in anymore. And that has a psychological effect on my self-image, because I know that I'm not the man I was on the mental side of things. On the physical side of things, because I've now been very ill physically for 20 years, I'm now not the physical being I once was. lots of muscle wastage, lots of bulk wastage, that kind of thing. So walking distances I used to love going walking has gone. I don't cycle anymore. I don't go to the gym anymore because my body doesn't like it. It rebels. It says, oh well, if you're going to do this, you're going to suffer for this, fella. And it's not suffering the day after like it used to be when I used to go to the gym. It's within half an hour. Now I don't know whether that revenge is going to be for a couple of hours or it's going to be for days. I just don't know. That kind of problem also has an effect on friendships. I used to be able to say, yep, lovely, that thing that's on in a fortnight, we'll go there, be brilliant, we'll have a smashing day out, doesn't matter what the weather's going to be, we'll do it. I can say to somebody now, yeah, that thing in a fortnight's time sounds fantastic, I'd love to do it, it'd be a really, really good day out. I'm going to have to ring you on the morning to let you know. So what happens if you have to buy tickets for that thing? What happens there? And this is the problem with something like MS, is that it takes away the ability to plan ahead, allow your friends to depend on you, because you don't know whether you're going to be well enough on a particular day at some point in the future to do a thing that normally you would enjoy, you would love doing, you would love just seeing your friends. You don't know whether you're going to be well enough to do that. And finally, I know because we're getting into this, we're 22 minutes in now, and MS is such a big subject. For me, the thing that really winds me up about MS is that it's impossible to make your family and friends understand how ill you are on a daily basis. All they want to do is be there for you. All they want to do is help, assist, that kind of thing. That's all they want to do. And they will say things like, is there anything I can do for you? What can I do for you? In what ways can I help you? What can I do on a daily basis to make your life easier? And I have to give an answer which sometimes sounds quite harsh, and it's not meant this way at all. And the answer is, you can't. You can't help, because you don't know how ill I am on a minute-to-minute basis. I don't know how ill I'm going to be on a minute-to-minute basis. Excuse me. My pain and other effects on my body come and go at will. And this is the problem. It is that MS seems to be this life-altering disease that has no set pattern, no concern about the physical or indeed mental capabilities of the person. If you're the kind of person that's not got perhaps a lot of mental strength, you're not very resilient perhaps, MS can be very, very, very destructive, and that's where chatting to people who have MS, other people who have MS, might be beneficial to give you some coping strategies, little bits of helping notes here and there that allow you to do the bits and pieces that you want to do. So to wrap this up, one thing that I would say to try to help you with life with your MS is accept it as an inconvenience, not as something that dictates a lifestyle to you. You live your life in and around the restrictions that MS puts upon you. Do not allow it to demand things of you. Be sure to enable yourself to be relaxed about things. Don't feel as though that you have to do things. Do things when you can. Do things where you can. if you live alone, for instance, washing and ironing is a prime example. Do it when you need. Bang your washing in your machine, let the machine do its stuff, then hang it out and let it dry. Don't worry at all about the ironing. Leave the ironing until you feel well, and then on the days that you feel well, just iron the bits that are necessary. That kind of thing. Go shopping when you need to, and use delivery services. Just use delivery services. They are there to benefit people like you and I, people who struggle with everyday life. If you found any of this interesting, or you found any of this reflecting your day-to-day life, get in touch. Drop me a line down below. If you have any questions, drop me a line down below. During my professional life, I was a professional fundraiser. I used to do a lot of training. And a lot of training was about allowing people to see beyond the problems that fundraisers had. And just as a quick one, people used to say, well, Stuart, I've got to get all this money. This is my target this year to raise for my charity. And I used to deal with teaching them how to actually break that down into manageable chunks, how to deal with different issues to get that money coming in. I've actually applied the same thing to living life with multiple sclerosis. If you think I can help you in any way, shape or form, drop me a note down below and maybe we can chat via email or whatever. So that's it for this one. I know it's not going to be of interest to many of you, but hopefully to many of you who've got MS and are struggling through this nasty, insidious disease that seems to be a dominant force. I hope this is of any help. I say, drop me a note down below. Any questions, queries, anything like that, by all means get in touch. Feel free to subscribe. It costs nothing. Just press a button. And if you want these videos to come through to you, and they're not all about MS, they're about other interesting key stuff that's kind of happening in the world today, press the notification bell and you'll always get it through to you. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll speak to you again very soon with something else. Bye bye.